Ho ho, boardies, welcome to Borderline Games. I'm Gareth and today we're playing Chaos Head. Last time, we saw this woman with a big sword and she's glaring at us. We first saw this woman, I think. Woman. She's like a schoolgirl, isn't she? But whatever. We saw this girl in school, I think. Sans sword, without her sword. And she had like a brief conversation with us. Can't remember what that conversation was, but it was pretty inconsequential because we were like in a rush, I think. And now she's here in the middle of the street brandishing a huge sword for no reason, as far as we can tell. We also saw her someplace else in the middle of a street without her sword, I think. And she was kind of glaring at us. Maybe she had a sword. I'm going to say that she didn't have a sword, though. I don't remember that being the case. But she's here now. She's brandishing her sword. And she's glaring at us. And we're going to find out why. So let's go. Come to think of it, why was she glaring at me? Thinking maybe it wasn't me she was looking at, I turned around. Usually when something like this happens, or something like this happened, more often than not, they were just looking at someone who happened to be behind me. But that wasn't the case here. The one she was glaring at, her gaze filled with intense hostility, had to be me. I froze. I also got a frog in my throat. I knew now what it felt like to be someone's prey. Glaring back was out of the question. I was always terrible at looking people in the eye, so I couldn't help but stare down at the pavement. I should run. Normally I'd go home by taking a left at Scramble Crossing, where she was standing, and then I'd end up next to Buckfat. But today, I headed for the station instead. There are a lot of people there. But I'd rather that than deal with some scary 3D girl harassing me. Hell, she might even try to mug me. There's loads of people around here, what's she gonna do? Or maybe she was only feigning being alone, and she actually had several DQNs lurking nearby, waiting for her to lure me in so they could beat the shit out of me. To be honest, they'd probably one-shot me. Like I'd fall for that. I swiveled to the right, only to be caught completely off guard. Whoa. Huh? What? Somehow the girl was right in front of me. I flustered. I turned back around to look at Scramble Crossing. She was no longer there. I looked in front of me once again. The girl with the sword was still glaring at me, just as she had been before. What the hell? When did she get around me? Legs could only move so fast. That was practically teleportation. And besides, how could she have predicted that I'd turn around in the first place? Hey, you. Huh. Her voice reached my ears with extreme clarity. I frantically looked around me. I wanted to think she was talking to someone else, anyone else, even though I already knew full well who she was talking to. I searched for anyone else who could be directing that hey you toward. But obviously there was no one. There's loads of people. A number of businessmen walking by glanced at Girl B inquisitively, only to realise she wasn't talking to them and walked away. Girl B, who'd been standing there imposingly the entire time, took a sudden step toward me. That was all the confirmation I needed. Girl B had been targeting me after all. I'm talking to you. Do you see it? Rude as ever, in my 17 years of life, I could probably count the number of times a girl had talked to me like this on one hand. Well, I guess there were times when Kiramiya Tsubaki, also known as Sunko, had talked to me like that. But it was in a tsundere kind of way. No, how do I... Don't close the game. How do I do it again? Right click? There we go. Tsundere. A girl who is usually aloof and acerbic. Acerbic? That's a new word. What's that mean? Acerbic. You learn something new every day. It means sharp and forthright. Oh, okay. But becomes affectionate. Dear. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So that's what sundeer means. It means someone who's originally like assertive and forthright and then becomes, I don't know, a bitch. I don't know, I can't think of any other word. However, the definition has become more broad recently. Okay, cool. Well, there we go. Granted, Sunko was just a 2D character from the Eroge Tell Me doll. Let's solve this debate. Some people say Eroge, some people say Eroge. Let's have no... let's have no ambiguity. That's not the word I'm looking for. Let's have no confusion. Whatever. Let's have no... whatever I'm trying to say.
Eroge.
Eroge. Neither. Neither Eroge or Eroge. Eroge. Cool. We can do that. I'll remember that, I'm sure. Gilby kept getting closer and closer as those stupid thoughts raced through my head. Why does she feel so intimidating even though she's a girl, I wondered. In a sexist way, but the reasons were simple. She had a big sword. The sharp look in her eyes and the gigantic sword she was carrying. For a sword, it had a fairly unique shape. It was the kind of thing that operated on anime logic. It had an awesome design, but if you actually used it in real life, it'd be completely unusable. It had to be from some mecha anime. Had there been any mecha anime that had started airing recently? Even though I knew it was a prop for some random anime cosplay, it still looked incredibly sharp and solid, like if you even so much as touched it, it would slice your fingers clean off. What a strange sword. I asked you if you can see it. Girl B had already cut the distance between us by 2 meters. If she swung her sword, it would hit me. Flustered, I took a step back, but it was too late. Girl B closed the distance further and further. Whoa. Oh, okay, what are we doing? We're going to go for horny? Horny? Or deadly? I'm trying to think of what did we do last time? I feel like we might have done deadly. Horny or deadly? Let's go for horny. She'd actually swung the sword. Ah! Carrying on the spot, I covered my head. If I hadn't dodged it, it would have hit my head for sure. I doubted it would have cut me. But with that kind of force behind it, it would have given me a concussion and permanently dented my skull. I hated pain. What the hell are you do? I was so shaken that my speech got all messed up. Time for horny. There she is. Girl B looked down at me coldly. Man, she was really close. Her bare legs were right in front of me, and at this angle, I could almost see up her skirt. You can see it, can't you? I'm sorry, I didn't see anything. I frantically lowered my gaze. I knew for a fact she was going to accuse me of looking at her panties. But I didn't see them. I swear, I almost saw them, but I didn't. Really, besides, 3D panties don't get me off anyway. The only panties I fap to are either 2D or belong to figures. I briefly tried to explain that. You're lying. You had to have seen. You've been glancing over and over for a while now. I didn't, I swear. And then for some reason I couldn't comprehend, Gilby slipped off one of her shoes and then she began to take off her knee socks. In the midst of this, the area under her skirt threatened to become visible yet again, leaving me at a loss for where to look. I tried to find an opening to escape, but Gilby refused to take her eyes off of me, as she continued removing her sock. Oh god. Oh, I'm uncomfortable now. The now barefoot girl, assuming an imposing stance, curving her lips in a scornful manner. Okay. Just gotta remember that it's the creep looking at this, not me. It's not me. I'll make you confess. What? Suddenly, Girl B's warm, bare foot stepped directly on my crotch. The sudden humiliation rendered me hopelessly embarrassed. There we go. How does that feel? Up and down. Wait, stop! The people walking around didn't even look at us. Why couldn't there be at least one person who came to my rescue? What a cold society we lived in. It's getting bigger and bigger. Having this happen to me right smack in the middle of Sentai, it was mortifying. But I was enjoying it. Of course you were, you creep. Ha! Stop! Oh my god. Answer me. You see it, don't you? The die sword. The D sword. Huh? When I came back to myself, I couldn't immediately grasp what was going on, leaving me blankly staring up at Girl B. She was still wearing her shoes and she wasn't stepping on my crotch or anything. What the... Had that been a delusion? So she wasn't trying to accuse me of seeing her panties. At any rate, a D-sword? The hell was that? It was the first time I'd ever heard that word. Girl B had said it was a sword, and whatever she was carrying was definitely shaped like a sword, but... Why was she asking me if I could see it? I decided to just nod. I mean, I obviously could see it. There'd be something wrong with me if I couldn't. Looking around a sword that large and conspicuous, and in Sentai no less. I'd be willing to accept it if it was Akiba, but in Shibuya of all places. I see... Oh, I see. So you too have been gathered. Gathered? Who, and by who? At the very least, I was definitely here voluntarily. Have you seen an error before? In Japanese, please. Was what I'd wanted to say, but unsurprisingly, I wasn't brave enough. Then again, if I said the wrong thing, she'd probably stab me, so... Regardless, this chick had been sprouting nothing but nonsense ever since she'd first opened her mouth. Tell me if you see one. After she said that, Girl B turned around. Her skirt fluttered in the breeze and I could almost see her panties. He still got his mind on the prize, his eyes on the prize. I hurriedly shut my eyes. I'm Aoi Sina, a third year. You'll find me on the train in front of the station. And then she was gone. I opened my eyes. The girl calling herself Sina had vanished. I was completely stunned, and it wasn't until I arrived back at my base that I realised that I hadn't understood a single goddamn word she'd said. Just another day in Chaos Head. Despite everything going on, I had to go to school 3 times this week. Somebody kill me. Ah! Mysterious screech. Oh. Ah! Mysterious screech resounded from far away. The sudden nature of it made me jump. And when I slowly looked in the direction it came from... Oh, there she is. Shit. Big bro! Here she comes. Nanami rushed toward me with a staggering speed. I tried to run away, but it was too late. She'd already circled around me and blocked my path. She always did have amazing reflexes. Hey! Why'd you try and run away when you saw me? Maybe because you're incredibly annoying? Geez, you're always so quick to clam up like that. Damn it. Why had she decided to go to Sume of all places? That decision had done nothing but cause me endless pain and suffering. Whenever she ran into me on the way to school, she always stuck her nose in my business without fail. Hey, do you like your new phone? Are you using it? Let me guess. Probably not, right? It's been days and days since we bought it, but you haven't called home a single time. That's how I know. To do my best to break free, I started speed walking, but Nanami was determined to keep up. You can at least call home and let us know you're alive, you know? That's why we bought it in the first place. And if you can't bear to do that for whatever reason, you can just call me. Because Mum's worried about you. Have you been eating right? Ugh, why'd I even ask? You've probably been surviving on nothing but stuff from the convenience store. I knew you'd be helpless living on your own. Just come back home, you butt. Do you have any idea how I feel whenever I come to check up on you? I'm always so worried about you. I just can't help it. Shut the fuck up! What the hell's your problem? Are you my mum or something? And stop talking about shit like this when you're on the side of the road. It's humiliating. I'd already been feeling like shit, yet this bitch had somehow managed to come along and make me feel even worse. Very gamer-coded. Red-pilled. There was nothing on this earth more embarrassing than walking to school with your younger sister. The situation came about quite often in Eroge. Hell, I'd always longed for it to happen to me, but Nanami was nothing compared to 2D little sisters. Less than nothing. Damn it, world. Give me a cuter younger sister. Gross, man. A slightly tense atmosphere hung in the air between us as we walked side by side towards school. I looked at Nanami to see if there was any chance of escape before we reached the gate. Even though she'd been yammering on and on just a bit ago, she'd fallen completely silent, now walking with an absent-minded look on her face. It even looked like her eyes weren't really focusing on the road. But that was probably just my imagination. Her footsteps were unsteady. Something must be wrong with her, I suspected. She kept on swaying back and forth. And about a moment later, she stumbled right out onto the road, right as a car came racing toward her. Hey, watch out! Panicking, I grabbed Nanami's arm and yanked her back. The horn of a car blared as it sped by. She just barely avoided getting run over. What the hell are you doing, you dumbass? Huh? Huh? Nanami blinked a few times, then tilted her head to the side. Why did I do that? Huh. I was at a loss for words. She was an honest-to-God fucking idiot. She didn't even understand her own actions. And for the record, that wasn't Mo. Not even close. Seriously, what were you doing? Are you trying to get run over? Was there a car? Yes, there was a car. What was up with this total fucking ditz of a sister? Hey, big bro, that whirring sound just now. Didn't you hear it? What? What was she talking about? I hadn't heard jack shit. When I heard that sound, my head went all fuzzy for some reason. And over there. Nanami pointed at the corner of the road. I saw Mum and Dad, they were calling me. When I looked to where Nanami was pointing, I didn't see our parents. Instead, I saw a creepy man standing in that exact spot. He wore a plaid shirt, fingerless gloves, jeans rolled up at the bottom and white sneakers. He had a rucksack on his back that was filled to bursting. He looked like an otaku plucked straight out of Akihabara. Capping off his outfit, he was holding a video camera in one hand. Did he have a voyeur fetish or some shit? Why can't we see the guy? Hey, don't point at strangers. God, what a rude-ass sister. Besides, it'd make no sense for our parents to be here in the first place. They lived in Shimokitasawa, after all. I'm going to have to try that again. Shimokitasawa? Shimokitasawa. Shimokitasawa. Good enough, you think? That's so weird. I know I heard my name. The man started looking our way, then he pointed the camera lens at us. What? What the hell was wrong with him? Let's go, Nanami. Frightened, I quickly ran from the scene, leaving Nanami behind. Oh, that's not good. Hey, big bro, wait for me! I'd continued to ignore Nanami until we got to school, upon which I ditched her to walk down the noisy as ever hallway toward my classroom. When walking down the hallway, stay along the edge. Don't walk too fast or too slow, don't make eye contact with anyone. Those were the 3 rules I always followed. That was how I didn't stand out in school. I transformed myself into an existence akin to air itself. That was my secret to success. Yo, Taku! Yeah, people like him definitely made it hard for it to actually work. Catching up to me from behind, Masumi-kun greeted me in this normal, overly friendly fashion by clapping a hand on my shoulder. What's up? Come on, you could at least greet me back. Well, whatever. How would you know you're not really that kind of guy? Hey, remember that chick I was talking about a couple of weeks back from Class D? You know, the super cute one that doesn't come to school that often? Huh? Her name's Kishimoto Ayase. Kishimoto Ayase. Anyway, I discovered something absolutely insane about her. Masumi-kun. Oh, Masumi-kun suddenly lowered his voice, then looked around us. It was just going to be something vulgar, wasn't it? Already tired of his BS, I almost let out a sigh. So, you know Fez, right? What he said made me bite it back. That Kishimoto chick, she is Fez. That really threw me for a loop. I can't believe Fez is a student at our school. And did you know she's in the same year as us too? For whatever reason, Masumi-kun leaned his upper body out the window, then gazed up toward the sky with a look of pure ecstasy. This has to be that fate thing everyone's always talking about. This was the 3rd floor. If he were to slip, he'd fall to the ground and break his neck, ending his life just like that. Just like that. My anxiety steadily climbed as I watched him. Masumi-kun leaned farther and farther and farther out the window, before switching his gaze down toward the entrance beneath it. Oh shit, speak the devil. Taku, I see Kishimoto. Should be here any minute now. Huh? With so many coincidences piling up one after the other, maybe it really was fate. Not that I cared. Alright, but waiting to pounce on her here. I'll show you a thing or two about picking up chicks. Now, watch me work. He was brimming with self-confidence. Man, alpha males like him really were impressive. Picking up girls and all that was a completely different world for me. It wasn't even worth trying. A few moments later, Fez, Kishimoto Ayase, appeared. It was just like Masumi-kun said. She really was Fez. I made sure of that while observing her from a safe distance. I still couldn't believe she was in the same year as us. This is the singer from the band. She was wearing a Sumo uniform. A distinct aloofness came from her expression as she walked slowly down the hallway. It gave off a completely different impression than the one she'd had on stage. Back then, despite her apathetic tone, I'd felt a sense of power and liveliness emanating off of her. But now the aura she gave off felt listless and unapproachable. Ignoring this, likely deliberately, Masumi-kun strolled over to her with the same overly friendly attitude he always had with me, then casually stopped right next to her. Yo, Kishimoto-san. Come on in. Whoa, his smile was so invigorating, despite being so obviously fake. I had no idea how he was able to act like that around someone he barely knew. That's why we love him. That's why we admire him. Then again, I didn't really want to be him. Oh yeah, I'm Masumi Daisuke. Nice to finally meet you. Oh wait, that might make you think we haven't met before, right? But nope, not true. So, I went to a Phantasm concert the other day, and you know what that means? It means it's our second time seeing each other. And I just want to say, your voice from back then, how do I put this? It gave me the chills. And it's not like I'm the type of guy to follow the herd, you know? Sure, I was taken in by your lyrics and how cute you are and stuff like that. But that impressed me. But what impressed me more was how perfectly in sync you and your band were. You know, like how perfect their sound and your voice worked together. You guys show me what real harmony's like. Fun fact about me. I've always wanted to start a band, so if it's cool with you, could you tell me how to find some bandmates or any other tips you think I should know? Oh, but that's kind of putting you on the spot, isn't it? So, maybe not. Wait, I know. Are you free after school today? How about we go and take some time to talk about it? Masumi-kun just kept on talking and talking with no breaks. His tone was different than usual, it was obviously fake. Not only that, but he wasn't hitting on her directly, instead using the band angle in order to invite her somewhere nonchalantly. I never heard this fun fact about Masumi-kun wanting to start a band before. It had to be a lie. He was willing to go that far in order to win some points, to force a flag rather than obtaining it naturally. But... oh, okay, we did horny last time, let's do deadly. Fez didn't even so much as look at him. She simply continued to walk down the hallway at the same pace as if not a sound had reached her ears. Hey, are you listening? Suddenly Fez stopped in her tracks. Her slightly lowered gaze slowly rose up, and then... she looked at me. Huh. Me? Come to think of it, the same thing had happened at the concert. It had felt like Fez was staring directly at me. Just in general, I'd been stared at by a whole bunch of freaky 3D girls over the past couple of weeks. God, what the hell was going on? Was I becoming popular now? Here we go. Death. You, over there. Yeah? When she called to me, I snapped to attention and replied. The otherworldly aura radiating off of her entire body had me viewing her as someone older than myself, but then again, I knew for a fact that she and I were in the same year of school. Fez signalled towards Masumi-kun, who'd been following her around with a jerk of the chin. You shouldn't associate with someone like him. Oh, come on, that's not cool. That bites, you know. Talking about someone like that. Besides, what's someone like him supposed to mean anyway? A troublesome person. Excuse me? Oh boy. The look on Masumi-kun's face turned very clearly sour. But Fez left the sharp glint in his eye unanswered, letting it pass her by without any interest. What a nasty atmosphere. I didn't want to be involved in this. I was a total embarrassment when it came to fighting, be it physically or verbally. Besides, if I caused any problems at school, it'd have an impact on my evaluations. To avoid getting caught up in it, I should probably get out of here oh. What? Kishimoto-san, you trying to make me look stupid? Not particularly. You're simply a nuisance. Oh, I see. So that's what's happening here. That's just how you talk, Kishimoto-san. Hey, here's an idea. Let's go somewhere where we can be all alone. Then we can talk all you like. Nice and slow. Masumi-kun placed a hand on Fez's shoulder, his smile trembling with rage. Her eyebrows twitched in response. Do not touch me. She's going to break his arm or something. Oh, don't be like that. Come on. Let's get to know each other better. She said no. The lady said no. I told you not to touch me. Oh, shut the fuck up. I told you to come with me. Uh-oh. Fool. It happened in an instant. Even though I'd seen the whole thing, I still couldn't comprehend exactly what had happened. Okay. Before I could even blink, that awesome mic stand, or maybe it was a sword, was now being held tightly in Fez's hand. I had no idea where she'd retrieved it from, but she now brandished it with incredible ease. And then... Ugh! Masumi-kun's left hand was cleanly severed from his wrist. An explosion of blood erupted from the wound, and the severed hand fell to the floor. The hallway was turning crimson. I hadn't seen anything. I hadn't seen anything at all. I hadn't seen her draw her sword. I hadn't seen the trail of light it carved when it was swung. I hadn't seen Masumi-kun's arm get lobbed off. It all happened in the blink of an eye. And by the time I'd realised what happened, it was already over. Ah! My hand! My arm! My arm! Masumi-kun collapsed to on the spot, frantically picked up his hand, and tried desperately to reattach it to his arm. That's not how arms work. His screams echoed throughout the hallway. All the students around us screamed and ran off in a panic. Let's put that bad boy on ice. As for Fez, she was still holding her sword, calmly admiring the chaos. The chaos. Then for the second time she looked at me. Her red tongue slowly cleaned her lips as a fierce blush dyed her cheeks. Her smile stretching the colour across her face. This feels heavenly. And there she is. And then she was gone. No such carnage had unfolded. While I was over here drowning in my moronic delusions, Fez was murmuring something in a low voice, only to up and disappear soon after. You've lost your touch, Daisuke. Damn it. Masumi-kun was sulking, having been completely and utterly disregarded. Considering how she was able to deter an alpha male of his caliber like he was no lower than a spur on a boot of hers, to deter him like he was nothing more than a typical Monsieur. Monsieur? Maybe the other team was what Fez preferred. Okay. I don't like the idea that just because she denied this Chad, a true Yuri connoisseur, does that mean what I think it means? Yeah. Yeah, it does. Nice. Man. She'd make a great sir. that's not who I think it is. Man, she'd make a great sir. Especially if she was a lolly-type character like Nanami. That's the stuff. Oh, God. I wouldn't even bother trying again with an antisocial bitch like her. This is the real guy that's coming through now. Masumi. God damn it, this sucks ass. What was up with that? Finding a sword shit anyway. Made no sense to me. Sword? Yeah, that's what Kishimoto was going on about. Weren't you listening? Find a sword. If you do, you'll be granted salvation or something like that. Salvation? Hey, Taku. Are there any Phantasm songs with lyrics like that? A sword? Could it be that thing from my delusion earlier? That mic stand that I hadn't been able to figure out if it was a sword or not? Come to think of it, there'd been another person a couple days ago that had interrogated me about a sword. I mean, that literally just happened. That Cena girl. The one who was absolutely terrifying. I'd actually thought she was going to slice me in two. The sword she'd been carrying was a different shape than the one Fez had, but they had a similar aura to them. Could the two of them be connected somehow? I didn't know. There was way too much shit I didn't know. Shogun, the demon girl. Yua. Fez. Cena. Swords. I don't know any of that stuff. As was my old habit, I jotted down a list of the things I didn't know enough about in my head. I'd meant to put myself as one final item on the list, but I decided against it. I was completely normal. It was the stuff happening around me that wasn't. That was the most obvious conclusion. Was Fez my ally? Or my enemy? It'd be nice to know at least that much. Problem was, I didn't have the courage to ask her. The end. Today I headed straight for Animite without stopping by at Cafe, and we will find out exactly what Takumi's going to be doing at Animite next time on Borderline Games. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Chaos Head, and I will see you next time. Have a good evening. Bye bye.